Oh, that is like the greatest entrance in comic book history. Greetings, fellow nerds. I'm Chris, and welcome back to Dees Nerds. And today we're going to be watching along with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. All right, so this being the sequel to Man of Steel, we've already done Man of Steel, so we'll put a card up here so you can go watch that one as well. And this is the second film in the 4 films I'm doing in the lead up to the Snyder Cut of Justice League being released on March 18th. Next up, we'll do Suicide Squad, and then we'll follow that up with Justice League, the 2017 theatrical cut of Justice League. So, hey, let's pop right in and get watching what we know is a very controversial movie. Of course, revisiting the death of Bruce's parents here to start off with.
Things fall. Things on Earth. And what falls.
I do appreciate Bruce's kind of monologue here to kind of start the film. I do remember whenever I first watched this film, I thought it was very interesting to revisit the Wayne family murders again. It's got to be by this point 5 or 6 times we've seen it live action. Let's see, it was like Batman 89, Batman Begins, Gotham did it. You know, this is done so maybe 4 times, but at least it does kind of pay off later in the film, although be it in a very controversial way. We'll discuss it whenever we get to that moment. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is Thomas Wayne. That's always a win. I really appreciate here that they've shown in previous versions of this Thomas either being like kind of a negotiator or maybe being more scared, but here like Thomas Wayne was very much a man of action. I really love the shot with the pearls being around the gun, and whenever, you know, the gun fires, it breaks the strand. That's a really, really cool shot. And so that's going to basically pay off later in the movie, that name Martha, which I know right now if you've seen this movie before, some of you are probably already rolling your eyes. I don't care who you are, the score for this is absolutely perfect. I will never forget when Ben Affleck was cast and the entire interwebs, it seemed like, lost its mind. And I remember thinking that it was a really great choice. I love the choice of Ben Affleck as Batman. And he delivers. I think he's absolutely an amazing Batman, and I'm really glad that we're going to get to see, you know, his kind of Zack Snyder's intended vision for him in Justice League. I know there's been several mashups of this, but like I love that this is like the Battle of Metropolis from Bruce Wayne's point of view, and that, you know, actually Zack Snyder syncs up a lot of different shots and battle parts within that final battle of Man of Steel from a different point of view. Just a pure stroke of genius. Always good to see Feora get owned again. Whether he's in the cowl or not, this is Batman running towards danger, not away from it, no matter what the cost. You know, watching Bruce in this scene right here, I don't know how true it is, like maybe this is just my own headcanon, but I get the distinct impression that this is probably the first time since his parents died that he's truly felt helpless. And so what that's going to do, it's almost going to be like, you know, the Master Yoda thing about, like, you know, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Very interesting that kryptonite was somehow a byproduct of the world engine stuff that happened for Man of Steel. Oh, the infamous Jimmy Olsen sequence. I know there's some people that hate that Jimmy Olsen straight up gets the shaft. He's in this movie for like all of a few minutes and then just gets unceremoniously like knocked off. It's like, man, why you gotta do Jimmy Olsen like that, Zach? I have a simple piece of advice for this movie. If you have no idea what's going on, it's Lex Luthor behind the scenes.
They did not tell me the interview was with a lady.
I'm not a lady, I'm a journalist.
Bam! So essentially, Lex Luthor moves all the pieces into play so that, you know, all the private soldiers and everything that is in this scene to basically maneuver Lois into a situation where she's going to be in danger, to then maneuver Superman where he's going to go save Lois so that they can then kill all these people and make it look like Superman did it to make Superman look like the bad guy. My boy Supes can make an entrance. Lois knows the drill. Okay, thanks, bye! So essentially, Superman is, you know, a godlike figure. So then what this movie does is it takes that premise and then it kind of flips it on its head, and you look at it from the other side. Lex Luthor is going to view Superman, you know, if Superman is being viewed as God, Lex Luthor sees that as a big problem. And so he's going to try to expose Superman as kind of a false idol. Batarang is a ninja throwing star, very brutal. You know, human traffickers, you're definitely not going to feel bad for what's coming to them. They're more scared of Batman than of the traffickers. Batman's entrance here is so wicked cool, because I love that Zack Snyder brought in some more horror elements to introduce Batman here, because, you know, to the outsider's perspective, Batman's going to be a kind of a horror figure. He's going to be a very scary kind of figure. And, you know, some people, you know, in other versions especially, have thought of him as not as a man, but as a creature. So I love that they play with that concept. Batman branding criminals, I mean, it's very clear that they're going for a more brutal take on this character. That's a clue.
Think about what did happen.
This scene is very much showing that, you know, to Clark is trying to protect Lois, but the idea being that Lois is also trying to give Clark perspective and saying, hey, there are political implications for what you're doing. I will say that this movie takes a lot of chances with both Batman and Superman as characters. You know, what we're used to with both of these characters, Zack Snyder stretches and pulls that in ways that we're not used to. I think ultimately whether or not you like this movie is whether or not you like that choice. Is Superman a lot more somber and serious in this film? Yeah, he is. I mean, even compared to Man of Steel, I think. But I think for me, the way I take it, and just to be very clear, I love this film. But to me, it's Superman on his beginning journey. He's still trying to figure out how to be Superman in this world. And I don't think he's fully Superman yet in this film. Now, they're going to go through different things to kind of get him to that maybe, but he's not there yet. You know, Batman in this film is also very different than what we're used to seeing. You know, it's all encapsulated in the line where he says, you know, like 20 years in Gotham, how many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? I mean, he is very cynical. He's very grizzled. He's old and tired. And he's becoming more brutal and angry, and he's resorting to killing. Batman, I don't think Batman really has that hard and fast no killing rule that a lot of people have. I prefer my Batman not to kill, but I completely see where Zack Snyder's going with this, in that, you know, Batman, after 20 years in Gotham and really not feeling like he's made any headway, he's becoming more brutal and angry. And then on top of all that, you have Superman coming into this, and he feels completely powerless.
That's how it starts. The fever, the rage, the feeling of powerlessness that turns good men cruel.
Jeremy Irons saying that line, the line itself is just perfection. But Jeremy Irons saying that, mwah. Beautiful. All right, here we go. Lex Luthor in this film. This is probably one of the most controversial elements of the entire film, and that's saying something. I mean, even amongst me and Michelle can't stand this version of Lex Luthor. I like this version of Lex Luthor, but I understand why people don't like it. Lex in this movie, Jesse Eisenberg's performance is he's very eccentric. He's less the traditional businessman. You know, you're thinking, of course, the traditional thing to say about this is more Mark Zuckerberg. I like that interpretation. This is also Lex Luthor at the beginning. This is not Lex Luthor becoming, like, already fully formed as that supervillain. So he's getting access to the Kryptonian ship. He's getting access to Zod's body. He's getting the kryptonite. He's clearly putting things in place. He's going to try to come up with about 4 or 5 different ways that he can take down Superman. Power move. One thing I think that Zack Snyder does a wonderful job in this film, and it all goes back to Man of Steel, of, you know, if Superman came down tomorrow, it would be a very divisive moment in human history. And that's what he uses the media in this film as a way to kind of show that controversy back and forth. The movie starts off with Clark saying he doesn't care what other people think, and, you know, slowly but surely that's just gonna beat him down. I always love here that, like, Bruce is such an amazing fighter that, you know, he can, like, see a weakness in this fight here and just give the guy a couple of pieces of advice, and it completely changes the outcome of the fight.
Crime wave in Gotham. Other breaking news. Water. Wet. Did you file the football yet?
So again, it's like Clark's optimism and almost his... He's very naive. Of course, he's very young into this bit, and he's very much kind of like, of course, he's from Smallville. He's very much more kind of traditional in his optimistic thinking, and it runs right up against a wall in Perry White's very cynical view of kind of more of like a modern day America kind of situation. Some people think that Lois didn't have very much to do here, but I think the Ultimate Cut here, the Ultimate Edition, I mean, it really helps flesh out the fact that she's the one that really unravels the fact that Lex is behind it all.
Someone on the committee requested that Clark Kent cover it. Probably some old charity crone who's got a thing for nerds.
See, once again, Lex pulling the strings. Is it weird that in a movie where a man dresses up as a bat to fight criminals and an alien from the planet Krypton can fly and, use heat vision and, basically be indestructible, that the most unbelievable thing that I find in this movie is a Democratic senator from Kentucky?
We know better now, don't we? The devils don't come from hell beneath us, no. No, they come from...
That score, though. Jeremy Irons in this film is just a wonderful Alfred. I mean, I think he's absolutely up there, with, Michael Gough or Michael Caine as Alfred. I mean, just wonderful.
Bruce Wayne won't have to. He's been invited.
Huh. And Clark has two? Great shot right there. Bruce's anger just shining through. Man, the thing about having a film and introducing a Batman that's been doing it for 20 years, you're missing so much. Like, obviously, the death of Robin there at the hands of the Joker. The only thing that I cannot agree with in any way, shape, or form, and I really disagree with Zack Snyder's choice here, is that apparently that is Dick Grayson that died. No, absolutely not. I think Dick Grayson has been just screwed out of some really great moments. I would love to just see Dick Grayson go through like being Robin for a while and then becoming Nightwing. Why can't we do that with Dick Grayson? He's such an interesting character. How do you not know who Bruce Wayne is? Oh, Gal Gadot. Just, who knew when she was cast that she would become like the definitive Wonder Woman, right?
Upstairs and socialize. Some young lady from Metropolis will make you honest. In your dreams, Alfred.
The difference between Lex Luthor's speech here and just some random hobo like yelling this on the street is money.
Maybe it's the Gotham City in me. We just have a bad history with freaks dressed like clowns.
Burn.
On this earth, every act is a political act.
And that is the whole thing behind this movie, that line right there. Plus, throughout this whole montage, there are just some amazing shots of Superman saving the day, like, with the space shuttle right here. I mean, it's just, he's just going around and he's doing good things for people. And yet, behind these, like, great looking shots of Superman doing these wonderful, heroic things, you've got this push and pull on the media side of things happening. It's a very interesting compare and contrast. I remember when Jenna Malone was cast in this movie, and everybody's like, is she like, the female Robin, like from The Dark Knight Returns? And is she this or is she that? And she's just an analyst. She's just, a criminal analyst. That's it. Wow, Lex Luthor is such a nice guy, giving him a new wheelchair. Cleaned him up, gave him a new suit and a new wheelchair. What a great guy.
Is the U.S. providing experimental military arms to rebels in Africa?
With balls like yours, you belong in What's your source on this?
I think I'm changing my mind. Amy Adams as Lois Lane. Thumbs up. So if the world is different, do we need to update Superman to reflect that difference? Jon Stewart, I miss you. No matter what your thoughts are on Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, his casting decisions, I mean, he's given us Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. He's given us Jason Momoa as Aquaman. But thank you, Zack Snyder, for giving us such amazing actors in these roles, because they were strokes of genius and they went completely different than what people would have expected, and they've ended up becoming definitive.
Excuse me, the other night
I like how he, Diana looks down at him grabbing her arm, and just looks at you realize I could throw you across the room, right? And the look right here. Oh, gosh, she's great. Alright, so here's another scene that a lot of people consider to be very controversial. The nightmare sequence. And I think, to me, after having watched it a couple of times, I think the only reason why it's controversial is that because it really is extremely vague on whether or not it is Bruce being shown the future, especially should Lois Lane die and Superman succumb to the anti-life equation and Darkseid. To me, it's him being shown that, but it's put together very strangely with, I mean, it's going to play this out. I think if they had just kind of left the Barry Allen part of it out that comes up later, it would have made more sense, because he would have like woke up and it would have just, you could have just explained it away as a dream and then maybe looked at it in a future film and, you know, put it together where no, that was actually, you know, him having a premonition. But overall, like as it is, you know, showing the future, I like it. I love the look of the Nightmare Batman, you know, with the trench coat and everything like that. It's a great look. It's a great scene showing that. You know, we're getting more of that in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut. So I'm interested in seeing how they kind of flesh that out a little bit more. I can see, because the first time I watched this in theaters, I was kind of like, wait, what just happened? And, you know, Michelle even, she's watched it several times, and she likes Batman, she likes, you know, DC, but she's not quite as, like, an expert, and I had to, like, walk her through it. And so it can be very clunky, especially, I think, to more, like, general audience type people. I could definitely see where this would be very confusing. This is like a one-take shot that just moves all the way around. And man, once again, Zack Snyder as a visual director is just a complete master. See, like right here, you have Barry Allen coming into it. I think this is the part that really confuses the whole thing, because, you know, like I think Michelle was like, who is that? And I would be like, that's the Flash. She was like, she had no clue. So I think there was, obviously he was going to expand on this more, but I do think that if you're going to do something like that, you have to have it make a little bit more sense in the context of watching this movie contained within the movie. Lex Luthor really likes Polaroids. So my question, and this is one that I've never quite figured out, is did Lex Luthor want the kryptonite to make his own weapon? Or did he want to leave enough breadcrumbs so that Batman would steal it and create his weapon, which he later ends up doing? Wilhelm scream. Again, I'm not a big fan of Batman killing. I much would rather prefer he didn't, but I get it for this version of Batman. I gotta say, this Batmobile is awesome. I really love it. Oh, dude. I love how this Batmobile is like indestructible. It's like driving through buildings, just driving through like boats and ships and everything. It's crazy. And there's a big deterrent standing right in your way, dude.
The bat is dead. Bury it.
Great line.
Tell me. Do you bleed?
Better line.
Be their hero, Clark. Be their monument. Be their angel. Be anything they need you to be. Or be none of it. You don't know this world a thing.
Great line, and just once again, Diane Lane as Martha Kent. Man, what a great performance. Dang, the Senator's got some guns.
What company?
LexCorp.
Dun dun dun. I do love that, you know, Lois Lane's just being the BA reporter we all know she is. To me, this whole sequence kind of has the same build-up as like in The Dark Knight, in the lead up to the events of the Joker crashing Harvey Dent's fundraiser that Bruce Wayne put on. Superman walking the halls of Congress makes for a very stirring image. Great performance here of her realizing that something's not right. Oh man. Jeez. Very pointed message to Bruce Wayne. I like the idea that Jeremy Irons' Alfred is not like this like very genteel, like Englishman kind of butler. He's much more of kind of like a grease monkey, willing to get his hands dirty kind of guy. Great Batman shot right there. Yeah, Luthor doesn't look too upset. It's like, I don't really see this as Superman and Clark being too negative. I just think that he's been put in a very tough position, and he's really questioning himself at this point in time. To me, this still, again, is not a Superman that's fully formed yet. And so he's still trying to figure out his place in the world and you know, whether... what he's supposed to do. You know, I kind of go back to Jor-El's line about, you know, they will join you in the sun. Well, right now Clark is having a real hard time being able to see where that's going to happen, because all he sees is that, you know, everything he does, doesn't matter whether it's good, bad, indifferent, he's just viewed as so controversial, and everything is a lightning rod thing that he does. So I just think that he's he's just unsure of where he needs to go right now. I mean, if I was Ben Affleck and I looked that jacked, I would definitely want to have my own workout montage. Do you think Bruce Wayne does CrossFit? Oh, love it! I mean, the idea, again, the media is just feeding into, was Superman a co-conspirator? Of course not. Lois, once again, being a BA reporter.
The inside of the chair was lined with lead.
Boom, boom, boom.
She was my world.
You're going to see that line, I mean, she was my world, and everything there play throughout the rest of the film, because, I mean, you saw it in the nightmare sequence, you see it with Jonathan talking about Martha, and you're going to hear Clark say that to Lois later on in the movie. And, you know, it gives someone like Superman that's his tether to humanity. Ugh, Nancy Grace. What a low blow going after the mom, man. Oh, such an epic shot right here. And that suit. Oh, very, very Dark Knight Returns. I love the design of it. And we get white glowing eyes. We haven't gotten that very often with live action Batman. Yeah, you might want to run. I'll give Lex credit. He's got Superman figured out.
No man in the sky intervened when I was a boy to deliver me from Daddy's fist and abominations.
So this all started because he has daddy issues. I like how Superman goes from being just like towering over Lex to basically getting on his knees. It's, whew. Lex's plan here basically works because, you know, as we're going to see, you know, Batman is going to get to that point to where he can kill Superman, but it doesn't quite work out. You know, once you start to like take in all the details behind Lex's plan and how many things he threw out there and kind of contingency plans he had, it was a brilliant plan. Again, this scene to me, again, it just drags the movie. It's like trying to introduce more things on the, you know, on the Justice League, and I just think it causes the movie to drag. This part doesn't really add anything to the story. It's just like, oh, look what we're gonna do in the next movie, or look who we're going to introduce in the next movie. And it's also stuff that doesn't really help the next movie out either. I do love that this whole scene is basically an homage to The Dark Knight Returns and the epic battle between Superman and Batman in that. There's one criticism I have about this whole scene, is that I feel like Superman gives up way too quick in trying to get through to Batman. You know, I think that, you know, had he come in and been like, Bruce, look, my mother is going to die within an hour if we don't do something. I know that you don't like me. I know I don't agree with you, but I need your help. I need you to help me with this. It's just like he tries a couple of times, it's not gonna work, and then so he gives in and just starts fighting Bruce. And I feel like he could have taken a little bit more time to try to get through to Bruce and really communicate with him what was going on. I know some people make fun of this concept and be like, look, so Superman would just flick Batman into the sun and be done with it. And the whole point behind it, though, is that Batman has contingency plans. Another side of it, too, and I can't remember which comic story it was, but, you know, basically Batman is willing to go where Superman is not. Superman's a good person who holds back. He doesn't want to completely show off the full range of his powers because he doesn't want to be a really destructive force. You know, Batman is willing to go where Superman won't. And I think the line from the comics was Batman saying, the reason why I win is because Superman's a good person and I'm not. Epic. Ooh. Brutal. Jeez. Never bet against Batman with prep time. You know, to me, Bruce Wayne in this film and Luthor in this film are actually pretty similar. I mean, they both feel helpless and they want to do everything they can to get some semblance of control back. The infamous Martha scene. I can see the point of it's a little clunky in that I don't think that Superman would be sitting there going, like, save Martha. I don't think he'd be using his mom's first name like that. I believe he'd be like, please save my mom. And I think it would have like the same impact. But I also see what Zack Snyder was trying to point out was that the name Martha, because ironically and completely coincidentally, both Superman and Batman's mothers were both named Martha. Of course, it snaps Bruce out of this just rage and willingness to basically be on a suicide mission to kill Superman. It gets him to see that Superman, you know, even though he may be an alien, he has a mother. He grew up on this world. He has a lot of humanity in him, and so that jars him out of this, like, I'll just call it a death spiral that he's in. Can I agree with some people and say that this is a little clunky in the way it was delivered? Yes, but you know, I still think overall the scene is very effective and it gets the job done. Plus, I think it also gives Bruce some control back, because later on, you know, he says Martha won't die tonight. I mean, I think he's trying to make up for the fact that his own mom died, and it's like he gets to have some control again. He gets to save Martha where he couldn't when he was a kid. He can save Martha now. All right, y'all. The warehouse scene. If we're talking live action Batman great moments, if we're doing a top 10, this one's probably very near the top. I mean, it is so amazing. The fighting in this, you know, Batman has never been so fluid and so brutal. It's pure joy for me watching this scene. Bam! Oh. Boom! So epic! Now this scene to me is again another callback to The Dark Knight Returns, because it's a very similar scene in that someone has a hostage and he just straight up kills somebody in order to save the hostage. I don't feel like the entire sort of doomsday storyline that they really I feel like it's shoehorned in here at the last. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of the way it's designed. I mean, now there's one thing that it does. It introduces us to Wonder Woman proper. That's, I think, the big thing that excites me about the last part of this film. Everything else, I'm just kind of, again, it feels rushed, and where people feel like that they just tried to get through a bunch of stuff to get to Justice League and get that team up film like Marvel was doing with the Avengers. Yeah, I can kind of see their point. I think it's a fair point. As much as I love this film, I'm willing to concede that point. I do think it's a cool shot that he goes from looking at this huge statue of Superman to looking at the actual Superman. It's like goes from looking up to looking down at him. That's kind of cool. Oh, that's a lot of CGI. This is actually right here the first time that Superman sacrifices himself in order to save the world. I mean, at that point, he could have gotten out of the nuke's way, but he chooses to hold on to Doomsday and let Doomsday take the hit in hopes that it'll kill Doomsday without even thinking about it killing him. Yes! Oh, that is like the greatest entrance in comic book history. And then you followed up with a boom! Yeah! Oh, and that theme, Wonder Woman's theme is just, oh, it's so metal. It's awesome. It's like she enters into this battle and it just goes up a notch. I mean, that to me, like, that saves the end of this movie more than anything else. It's just, oh, I love her entrance. And, you know, Gal Gadot, you're awesome. Just to be clear, my ringtone from Michelle is the Wonder Woman thing. So every time she calls me, that's the sound I get because she's my Wonder Woman. Oh, that warrior cry, so BA too. One thing I will say is I do believe that, Superman by the end of this movie, he understands who he is, he understands his place in the world, and then he goes off and he sacrifices himself, which is fine, but, it's something that, as he comes back to life in Justice League, that you hope that you get to see Superman more kind of fully realized. There it is. That being said, I don't disagree with the execution, at least as far as like the actual death and everything. I think that's all well done. It just all feels really rushed to me. That's my one criticism that I have. It's like, I feel like the death of Superman, and this is just my preference, of course, and it's not, I feel like that should be something that's earned over the course of multiple films, not done in the second film. That being said, it is quite impactful. It does hit you right here, you know what I mean? In our reaction to the trailer of the Snyder Cut of Justice League, I said that was Steppenwolf's redesign, and a commenter corrected me, and I really appreciate them for doing that, because it wasn't quite what I meant. I appreciate them calling me out on it, that they said that it's not the redesign, it's the original design, and that is absolutely correct. So I'm glad that in the Snyder Cut, we'll get to see the original design of Steppenwolf fully realized. And hey, there's Lex Luthor being bald. So to me, like, from this point forward, that's the real Lex Luthor. We've gotten the Lex Luthor origin story, now we're to Lex Luthor proper. I know I've talked about how I feel like that this is all a bit rushed at the end, but it's kind of a head versus heart kind of situation for me. Yeah, I think it is. That doesn't stop me or stop it from being very emotional for me. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's just one of those things that's, your heart kind of makes you feel in this moment too. It just gets me. Even though my head's sitting there saying, like, I wouldn't have done it this way, I wouldn't have done it, but dadgum, when everything kicks in and you see the loss that they're dealing with, and especially for me personally, you want to really tug at my heartstrings and get me pretty emotional. Doing Amazing Grace on bagpipes, that's always been something that has always kind of got me right there, like I'm kind of feeling that right now as I'm kind of talking. There's just something so beautiful about that song with that instrument. It's just absolutely beautiful. I think it's an interesting choice to do it this way and then found the League and have Batman, because traditionally in most versions of Justice League I've seen it in comics or animated series or whatever it is, it's normally Superman at the head of all of that. Batman normally takes a back seat and sometimes isn't even considered a full-time member. He's just kind of a consultant. I do love that at the end of this that Bruce is back. Who he was before he got beat down, like he's kind of redeemed himself. And of course we'll see that play out because as we saw in the trailer for the Zack Snyder's Justice League, that hey, when Superman let out that scream whenever he died, that literally reverberated out through the world and through the universe, and that is Steppenwolf and Darkseid's kind of cue that, like, okay, the Kryptonian's dead. That means it's time to invade Earth. Okay, great performance here, but it always really bugs me that, like, Jesse Eisenberg's nose is running. It's like, ugh. And of course we get the ever so subtle movement of the dirt before the end credits, because I mean, spoiler alert, Superman does come back. You can't keep Superman down for long, right? But, well, hey, that's Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. So we'll just kind of pause it right here. Just kind of my thoughts on the film. Are there things about this movie that I'm not, that I would do differently or that I would have different preferences on? Just kind of like with Man of Steel, absolutely. The thing with this movie that I keep coming back to is, in spite of those things, I don't like Batman killing. I think that, the death of Superman was rushed. I feel like, something like the nightmare scene was put together in a way that could be really confusing. I can understand that while I appreciate the Martha scene and understand its power, that there's some clunkiness to it. There are a number of things that, you know, I can point to and say that, you know, yeah, I mean, I could see people that, you know, put down this film, their feelings and why they have those feelings. But daggum if I don't finish this movie and just love it. If I don't get to the end and when those bagpipes hit, if I'm not just, you know, emotional. I've seen this movie many times now, and still, like, it still hits the exact same way. As a matter of fact, with this film, the more I watch it, the more I appreciate it and the more I like it. I think Ben Affleck is just amazing as Batman. Henry Cavill is the definitive modern day Superman as far as I'm concerned. You get introduced to Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman and she is just phenomenal and darn near flawless. You know, the different performances kind of surrounding all that. Of course, Lawrence Fishburne is Perry White, you know, Amy Adams is Lois, Jeremy Irons as Alfred, and then of course, you know, understanding, you know, that Lex Luthor and Jesse Eisenberg's performance as Lex Luthor is very controversial, but I still really like this take. There's just so much good going for it that a lot of the stuff that I point out that I can disagree on and not be as big a fan of, it just kind of gets lost in the fact of all the other amazing stuff that happens in this film. You know, I can understand this movie being controversial. I'm going to tell you something right now. Anybody who thinks that this film deserves a 26% on Rotten Tomatoes, you and I probably aren't going to be friends when it comes to this. I really believe that this film deserved better than what it got. I think that it was maybe came out. I think this movie is more timely now than it was when it was released. And I've seen many cases of people, whether on Twitter or on different forums that I frequent, that as time goes on, they come back to it and they're like, wait, this movie wasn't that bad. It was actually, you know, really entertaining and really good. And I really adore this film. And it's just one that gets better and better for me as I watch it. And, you know, bring on Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm very excited to kind of see the continuation of this world in a way that is still in line with his vision. All right, so I know that you have some comments on this film, and I'm sure that there's going to be people who disagree with me on several points here. So please let me know in the comments your thoughts on Batman v Superman and my thoughts on Batman v Superman as well. We'd just love to hear them. You know, if you're interested in subscribing to this channel, please do so. You know, like this video if you liked it. And also we're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So if you miss us in between videos, you can follow us there. And we also have merch. So hey, guess what? Go down there into that Teespring link in our description. If you like what we're doing here, you want to support the channel, buy a t-shirt, buy a mug. We just greatly appreciate it. Like I said, guys, this is kind of part 2 in a 4-part one that we're doing. So we've done Man of Steel. We've now done Batman v Superman. Coming up next is Suicide Squad. Very interested to watch that one again. It's been a while actually since I watched that one. And then of course we'll watch Justice League. That'll kind of be me putting that version to bed. Probably will be the last time I ever watch it. So, you know, guys, we're just really excited about the Snyder Cut and everything coming out. So, hope you guys are excited with me and kind of indulge me as we kind of go through the DCEU leading up to it. So, guys, once again, appreciate everything. Until next time, I'm Chris and we are Dees Nerds. You guys have a great, safe rest of the day. Bye, guys.